You know that strange, unsettling feeling when nothing is obviously wrong, but something deep inside you starts whispering that everything is about to fall apart? That was me. My name is Alex. I'm 31. I've been married to Hannah, 30, smart, put together, the kind of woman who turns heads without trying for just over 3 years. We weren't perfect, but we were solid. Or so I thought. The first cracks didn't come from arguments or distance. They came from lipstick, from foundation, from mascara. Let me explain. Hannah had always had 3 go-to looks. Her quick errand face, basic, 5 minutes, maybe tinted moisturizer and lip balm. Then her office look, professional, well-blended, done in under 20 minutes. And finally, the date night look, bold lipstick, smoky eyes, full contour, reserved for evenings out, weddings, or anniversary dinners. That third look? It started showing up at 9 a.m. on a Wednesday. At first, I noticed it once. She said she had an important meeting and wanted to feel confident. Seemed reasonable. But then it became twice a week. Then Saturdays. Then Sundays. I joked one day, "Who are you getting all glammed up for at brunch?" And she just smiled and said it was for herself. Makes me feel good. But something about that answer didn't feel right. Then came the late nights. The canceled dinners. The vague explanations. We're behind on a campaign. Meeting with a vendor ran long. Traffic was crazy. Always plausible. Always just believable enough. Until the day I found the bag. I had taken her car for an oil change. On the way back, I ran it through the car wash and figured I'd vacuum it out, too. While cleaning the trunk, I spotted a small overnight bag tucked into the corner. Something I didn't recognize. Curious, I unzipped it. Inside, toiletries, a hairbrush, travel-sized perfume, and lingerie. Used. Not folded neatly. Not new. My blood ran cold. I zipped it up, put it back exactly where I found it, and drove home in absolute silence. My thoughts were a storm. But instead of confronting her, I did something colder, something that would tell me more than words ever could. That night, I took an AirTag from one of our old suitcases and slipped it into the lining of that same overnight bag. Hidden deep, undetectable. If she was innocent, nothing would happen. But if I was right... The tag started pinging 3 days later. She left that afternoon saying she had a team strategy meeting at a co-working space across town. The AirTag said otherwise. She was heading into a residential neighborhood. Not a commercial district. Not near her office. No signs of work anywhere. I called her. Straight to voicemail. Moments later, a text. "Sorry, babe. I'm in a meeting. Talk soon." I got in my car. 20 minutes later, I was parked on a quiet, suburban street lined with hedges and parked SUVs. Her car was in the driveway of a modest home near the end of the cul-de-sac. She was inside. I didn't know whose house it was. I didn't care, because deep down, I already knew. I didn't knock. Didn't cause a scene. I just waited. She came out about 45 minutes later. Hair slightly tousled. Her blouse was buttoned wrong. She looked nervous, glancing at her phone, checking both directions before walking back to her car. She didn't see me, but I saw everything I needed. That was the moment something in me shut off, not from rage. From clarity. She was hiding something. And I was done asking. It was time to start proving. When I got home that evening, she was already in the kitchen, humming, cooking like nothing happened. She kissed me on the cheek. Asked about my day. Told me hers was exhausting. The meeting dragged on forever, she said with a little eye roll. You know how that goes. I looked her in the eyes and smiled. I do. The calmness I felt wasn't peace. It was control. I wasn't going to scream. I wasn't going to accuse. I was going to let her hang herself with her own rope. The next few days, I watched her carefully, not just her movements, but her words. The alibis. The half-smiles. The routine excuses. I started journaling everything. Dates. Times. Bag contents. Her outfit. Her mood. Every single variable, logged like a detective working his own case. I also reached out to someone who, until then, I trusted almost as much as I trusted my wife, my coworker, Erin. Erin and I had worked together for 8 years. We were close, not romantically, but enough that we confided in each other during life's tougher moments. She and Hannah had become friends, 2 double dates, happy hours, the occasional girls' brunch. So I asked her plainly, one afternoon after a meeting, "Hey, do you think Hannah might be seeing someone?" Erin's answer came fast. Too fast. What? No. Absolutely not. She loves you. You're imagining it. And yet, she looked nervous. Twisted the ring on her finger, a tick I knew too well. Her voice got just slightly higher, more defensive than it needed to be. That moment confirmed it. She knew. Or at least, she suspected something. But she wasn't on my side. I didn't press. I thanked her, told her I appreciated her honesty. And that night, I checked the AirTag again. Sure enough, the bag had moved. Friday came, and with it, a bizarre, almost theatrical shift in Hannah. She was affectionate. She made coffee for me in the morning, let her hand linger on my chest when she passed me in the hall. That night, she initiated intimacy, something that rarely happened unless it was a holiday, or she was in the mood for a peace offering. And still, I said nothing. I played the role. The next morning, she told me she was heading to the mall. Girls' Day, she said. Some shopping, lunch, maybe a manicure. I told her I'd join her. She hesitated, smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. You hate shopping. Maybe, I said. But I don't hate spending time with you. She nearly flinched. But she let me come. At the mall, I played along. We walked, we browsed. She seemed distracted. Phone in hand. Checking messages. Glancing at her reflection every time she passed a mirror. She didn't buy anything. That night, after she went to sleep, I left a note in the secret bag. No yelling. No accusations. Just 4 words, handwritten on a plain white card. Come home. I know. Thursday afternoon. I knew exactly where she was. Or rather, where she wasn't. She told me she had to stay late for a client presentation. But the AirTag pinged again, this time showing movement across town. Not toward the office. Not anywhere near a business district. Right back to that quiet residential neighborhood. Same street. Same house. I texted her. Hey, I'm in the area. Thought I'd bring you a latte and your favorite snack. You around? No reply. A few minutes later, a message, can't talk. In a meeting. I'll call soon. Right. Still, I played the part. I bought the coffee, picked up a cinnamon bun, drove to her office, and just as I pulled into the parking lot, I saw her car. She was rushing inside. She had clearly come back. Timing. Perfect. I walked into her office like nothing was wrong. Gave her the coffee, a quick kiss on the cheek, and told her I'd see her at home. She was stunned. Her face didn't know which expression to land on. Confusion, panic, guilt. She said thanks in a shaky voice, eyes wide as I turned and left. I didn't look back. That evening, just past 6, she came through the front door. The sound of her keys dropping into the bowl. The same creak in the floorboards. But the energy was different. She knew. Or at least, she feared. She walked in slow. Cautious. I was in the kitchen. Calmed. She stood there for a few seconds before saying softly, How long have you known? I didn't flinch. Since the makeup. Since the late nights. Since I found the bag in your trunk. She closed her eyes. Sighed. I didn't mean for it to go this far. I interrupted. Then why the lies? Why him? Silence. I told her I'd already spoken to Erin. That I knew she'd lied to cover for her. I told her I put a tracker in her bag weeks ago. That I saw where she went, when she went, and how many times. There was nothing left to deny. She asked, begged, if there was still a way forward. If I could somehow forgive her. If we could go to counseling. If I'd just give her one more chance. I told her I needed one thing first. The truth. All of it. She hesitated. Then admitted it had been going on for a couple of months. Said she never meant for it to become serious. She never planned on hurting me. She refused to give me his name at first. I just don't want to make it worse. I looked her dead in the eyes. I need to know who he is. Because I refused to shake hands with the man who destroyed my marriage. She finally told me. A coworker. That was all I needed. I handed her my phone. Call him. She looked shocked. What? Call. Him. Put him on speaker. She did. When he picked up, I spoke. Hi. This is Hannah's husband. I know everything. And if you want to do the right thing, tell your wife before I do. Then I hung up. She stared at me, tears welling up. I'll block him. I'll cut contact. No, I said. You work with him. You're still choosing to stay near him. That tells me everything. She tried to argue, but I had already stood up. Walked past her. Picked up my phone from the counter. Played the recording, the one where she admitted everything. I'm not just guessing anymore, I said. I have your confession. I have proof. So if you ever try to twist the story, I'll remind you of exactly what you said. She sat down at the table, silent, shaking, and I walked away, not angry, just finished. The next morning, I wasn't home. Instead, I was waiting in the parking lot outside my boss's office. As soon as he arrived, I asked for 10 minutes. I told him, without dramatic detail, that I could no longer work directly with Aaron. Personal reasons, I said. Irreparable trust issues. He didn't press. But word spread fast. By lunchtime, Aaron cornered me in the hallway, voice low and sharp. You had no right to go behind my back. You don't even know the full story. I looked her straight in the eyes. You lied to me. You knew something was off, and you let me walk blind into it. Her face cracked. I told her to end it, she said, voice trembling. I told her you'd find out. I begged her. I wish that made it better, I said, but that's just one more lie I can't unhear. She didn't say another word, and I walked away. That night, I found the affair partner's wife on social media. It didn't take long. A family photo. 3 kids. Smiles. A backyard barbecue. I sent her a message, brief, respectful, but honest. Attached was an audio file, Hannah's confession. I didn't expect a reply. I got one the next morning. She listened. She was gone. Packed up the kids. Moved into a hotel. She left a voicemail that could make a sailor blush. I didn't listen to it in full. I didn't need to. I just lit a fuse on another life. But it wasn't my match to strike. It was hers. Meanwhile, Hannah was falling apart. Her affair partner had resigned that morning. Word was, he'd come clean during his exit interview, spilled everything. Admitted the affair. Admitted it happened during work hours, on company time, sometimes even in empty meeting rooms. By noon, Hannah was called into HR. By 3 p.m., she was placed on a performance improvement plan. Not fired, yet. But the walls were closing in. That evening, she came home pale and silent. I didn't ask. She didn't talk. Instead, I called my lawyer. We met the next day. He handed me a packet of papers, a checklist, and a quiet warning. If she loses her job, the divorce will become more complicated. The terms will shift. He was right. Every thread was now connected: finances, property, professional reputations, even health. Speaking of which, I'd barely eaten in days. I dropped 7 pounds in a week. My sleep was broken. My chest felt tight in the mornings, and I dreaded getting behind the wheel. My doctor gave me a prescription to help with sleep and booked me for blood work, including an STD panel. Just to be safe. Hannah and I now slept in separate rooms. We weren't yelling. We weren't even talking much. It was worse. We were silent. A Cold War. 2 ghosts in the same house, waiting for the clock to run out. Monday, we saw a couples therapist. Our first session. She cried. I talked. I asked the hard questions. I wanted to know everything. Not just that she cheated, but how. How many times? Where? With protection or without? What was said about me when they were together? If she compared us. If she laughed at me behind my back. If I'd ever unknowingly kissed her after him. She answered most of it. Or claimed to. I didn't believe her. You can't build truth on top of lies. At one point, the therapist asked what she was willing to do to try and save the marriage. Hannah said she'd already cut off contact. Offered to open the relationship. Gave me a so-called hall pass. I almost laughed. You're offering to share me now, like this is a negotiation? I asked. I didn't cheat. I didn't want an open marriage. You did that on your own. That night, I finalized the paperwork with my lawyer. The divorce would be filed Thursday. And she had no idea it was coming. Thursday. The air felt heavy before sunrise. I didn't sleep the night before. Just stared at the ceiling in silence, waiting. Waiting for the clock, for the knock, for the inevitable. At 9:04 a.m., my phone buzzed. One word from my lawyer. Served. I pictured it. Her in the kitchen, maybe sipping coffee, maybe just finishing a call. Then the doorbell. A smile as she opened it. And then the envelope. The realization. The shaking hands. I didn't have to see it to know the exact look on her face. Shock. Confusion. Anger. The horror of finally knowing there would be no second chance. No reset button. She tried to call. Repeatedly. I let every call go to voicemail. An hour later, I wasn't alone. A neighbor couple, friends of ours, had come over at my request. I didn't want to be alone when she came back. I didn't trust what kind of scene might unfold. At 11:17 a.m., the front door burst open. Hannah came in like a storm. Face red, hands trembling, voice already raised. You blindsided me? Divorce papers? Like this? After everything? I didn't answer. She escalated quickly, hurling accusations, calling me cruel, cowardly, heartless. Said I'd ruined everything. And then, She threw a vase. Glass shattered against the wall behind me. My friends stood frozen. I stayed seated, silent. Then came the screaming. Another object, this time a photo frame, hurled across the room. That's when I called the police. When they arrived, she was mid-tantrum, yelling, pacing, hands flailing. The officers separated us, took statements. One of them calmly asked me if I wanted to press charges. I said no, but they told her she needed to leave the house for the night. Find someplace else, one of them said. This isn't safe anymore. She packed a small bag under supervision. Her sister came and picked her up. Not a word between us. Just silence and slammed doors. That night, I slept on the couch. Not because I had to. Because I needed space from everything. The next day, I got a call from my lawyer. He'd filed for a restraining order. Given the scene, the witnesses, and her behavior, it was granted almost immediately. She was legally barred from coming near the house, my workplace, or contacting me directly. When she was served that, she apparently had a panic attack. Or maybe a breakdown. She ended up in the ER. They held her overnight for evaluation. Released her Tuesday morning. Her sister came by to pack up the rest of her belongings. I asked how Hannah was doing. She's not okay, she said curtly. But you knew that. And then she left. I didn't argue. At work, the tension with Erin was still thick in the air. Rumors were flying. My inbox was flooded with resumes. HR moving quickly to replace her. My lawyer had set up meetings with hers to discuss settlement terms. My health was still wrecked, but I was functioning. Barely. I had one last thing to do. FaceTime with my parents. I told them everything. They didn't scream. Didn't cry. My father, a man of few words, just said, "I'm disappointed in her choices, but proud of how you're handling this." That was his version of "I love you." And in that moment, I finally felt like I wasn't drowning. Weeks passed, and though the chaos faded, the silence that replaced it wasn't peace. It was aftermath. The kind that lingers in the air after a storm, when everything's still standing but nothing feels the same. The restraining order remained in place. Her lawyer reached out. Negotiations had begun. My lawyer was clear. No face-to-face contact, no surprises, everything through proper channels. The house felt different now. Quieter, colder, but also clearer. Like the fog of uncertainty had finally lifted. Therapy helped. Not the couple's sessions, those were over. I went alone now. Just me in a quiet office. A space where I could say everything I never dared to before. I talked about the weight of watching someone you love turn into a stranger. About the betrayal not just of the body, but of trust, of safety, of belief. I talked about Erin, someone I once considered a close friend, and how losing her loyalty stung almost as much as losing Hannah's love. And I talked about the pain. Because no matter how composed I looked on the outside, inside I was still broken in places I didn't know existed. One day my therapist asked, "What are you still hoping for?" I had to sit with that question. Because the truth was, I wasn't hoping for reconciliation. I wasn't hoping for revenge either. What I wanted was closure. Not from her. From myself. I wanted to stop replaying every moment, wondering what I missed. I wanted to stop second-guessing my instincts. I wanted to stop asking if I somehow failed to be enough. I didn't cheat. I didn't lie. I loved, and I was loyal. That was enough. Eventually, I stopped tracking her online. Stopped asking mutual friends for updates. Stopped rehearsing arguments in my head that would never happen. One Saturday morning, I took down our wedding photo. I didn't smash it. I didn't burn it. I just wrapped it gently in a towel, placed it in a box, and slid it into the back of the closet. She was a chapter. A long one. A painful one. But not the whole story. I'm not sure what the future looks like. Not yet. But I do know this. I survived the worst week of my life. And I came out clearer, stronger, and more honest than I've ever been. So to anyone else watching, wondering if they'll ever feel whole again, you will. Not tomorrow. Maybe not next month. But one morning, you'll wake up. And her name will be just a name. Her voice, just a sound. Her betrayal, just something that happened to someone you used to be.